Picture this. I'm 7 months pregnant, surrounded by pink balloons and cake, when my billionaire husband walks in with his lawyer. He slides divorce papers across the gift table and smiles. Everyone gasps. But what I did next? Nobody saw it coming, and it cost him everything. Before I tell you how I took back my power, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you'll want to hear every single word of what happens next. Now let me take you back to the day my life changed forever. My name is Gabrielle Thompson, and 5 years ago I thought I'd found my fairy tale. I was 27, running my own interior design business, and doing pretty well for myself. Not rich, but comfortable. I'd worked my way through design school, built my client list one referral at a time, and I was proud of what I'd accomplished. Then I met William Harrison III at a charity gala I'd designed the decor for. William was everything society says you should want. Tall, handsome, charming in that effortless way that comes from generations of wealth and private schools. His family owned Harrison Global Enterprises, one of those companies so big they have their fingers in everything from real estate to technology. Third-generation money, the kind of wealth where you don't just have a trust fund, you have a legacy. He pursued me like I was the only woman in the world, private jet to Paris for a weekend, front row at Fashion Week, meeting his family at their estate in the Hamptons. 6 months later, he proposed with a ring that cost more than my first apartment. I said yes because I loved him and because some stupid part of me believed love was enough. We got married at his family's estate, 300 guests. My mama cried happy tears. My little sister Renee was my maid of honor. My best friend Crystal caught the bouquet. The pictures made it into society magazines. I became Gabrielle Harrison, and I thought I was living the dream. The first few years were good, really good. William supported my business, or at least I thought he did. He'd introduce me to potential clients at dinner parties. I expanded from residential to commercial projects. We traveled, we laughed, we talked about starting a family someday. Then last year, we decided it was time. I got pregnant on our 4th anniversary, and William seemed excited. He came to the first ultrasound. He held my hand when morning sickness got bad. He told everyone at the country club we were having a girl. I started designing the nursery, picking out colors and furniture, imagining our life as parents. But around month 5, something shifted. William started working later. More business trips, more closed-door phone calls. When I'd walk into a room, he'd suddenly end conversations. I told myself I was being paranoid, hormonal. He was providing for our family. This was just what successful men did. Crystal didn't buy it. She's been my best friend since college, and she knows me better than anyone. She kept asking if I was okay, if William was treating me right. I kept saying yes, because I wanted it to be true. My sister Renee was more direct. She told me something felt off about how distant he'd become. But I defended him. I made excuses. I was 7 months pregnant and didn't want to believe my husband was pulling away. When Renee and Crystal suggested throwing me a baby shower, I was genuinely excited. Something positive to focus on. They went all out, rented the garden pavilion at our estate, pink and gold everything, a dessert table that looked like it belonged in a magazine. They invited everyone, my family, William's family, friends, business associates, the wives from the country club, 150 people coming to celebrate our daughter. The morning of the shower, William was acting strange, cold, distant. He barely looked at me over breakfast. When I asked if he'd be there on time, he just nodded and left for the office. Something in my gut twisted, but I pushed it down. This was supposed to be a happy day. I arrived at the pavilion early to help set up, even though Crystal and Renee told me to rest. Everything looked perfect. White chairs arranged in neat rows, a gift table already overflowing, flowers everywhere, the kind of celebration every expecting mother dreams about. Guests started arriving, the garden filled with laughter and conversation. Women I barely knew complimented my dress, touched my belly, shared their own pregnancy stories. William's mother, Catherine, was there, elegant as always, but she seemed uncomfortable. She wouldn't quite meet my eyes. I remember thinking that was odd, but I was too busy being the gracious hostess to dwell on it. An hour in, we started the games, guessing the baby food flavors, measuring my belly with ribbon. Everyone was having fun, everyone except me, because William still wasn't there. I kept checking my phone. Crystal kept giving me concerned looks. Renee squeezed my hand and whispered that he'd show up. Then he did, but not the way I expected. The garden gate opened, and William walked in wearing a suit like he'd come straight from a board meeting. And he wasn't alone. Next to him was Gregory Sterling, his personal attorney, a man who had no business being at a baby shower. The conversation died in waves. People near the entrance noticed first. Then the silence spread like ripples until the entire pavilion was quiet except for the fountain in the corner. 150 people watching my husband walk toward me with his lawyer. I was sitting in this ridiculous throne-like chair they'd set up for me, surrounded by half-opened presents and pink wrapping paper. William didn't smile, didn't apologize for being late. He just walked straight to the gift table, and Gregory pulled out a manila envelope. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might hurt the baby. I remember putting my hand on my belly, protective, already knowing something terrible was about to happen. "Gabriel," William said, and his voice was cold, professional, like I was a business associate. "We need to handle some business." Gregory opened the envelope and pulled out papers, thick papers, official-looking papers. He set them on the gift table, right next to a box of baby clothes someone had wrapped in silver paper. I stared at those papers, and somehow I knew. Before I read a single word, I knew. "Divorce papers," William said, like he was announcing the weather. "I think it's time we both moved on. Sign these today." The garden erupted. Gasps. Someone dropped a glass. I heard my mama say, "Lord Jesus," from somewhere behind me. Crystal was on her feet, looking like she wanted to murder him. Renee grabbed my shoulder, but I couldn't move. I just sat there, 7 months pregnant, staring at my husband while he asked me to sign away our marriage at my own baby shower, in front of everyone we knew. "You're joking," I finally said. My voice sounded strange, distant. "I'm not." William glanced at his watch. Actually looked at his watch like he had somewhere better to be. "I've been seeing someone else. Her name is Vanessa. She's pregnant too, actually. 6 months. I want to be able to move forward with her and our son without complications." The world tilted. Someone behind me was crying. I think it was my mother. "You're having a son," I repeated. "With someone named Vanessa." "Yes, she's younger. We connect on a different level." He said it like it was reasonable, like this made sense. "Look, I'm being generous here. The settlement offers you $5 million. You keep this house. Supervised visitation for the baby. Most women would be grateful, Gabrielle. Most women would be grateful." Those words snapped something inside me into focus. I looked around the garden, at my mama with tears streaming down her face, at Renee looking furious, at Crystal who was being held back by 2 other women, at William's own mother, Catherine, who had her hand over her mouth but wasn't saying a word to defend me, at 150 people who came to celebrate life and instead got front-row seats to my humiliation. Then I looked at William, really looked at him. This man I'd given 5 years to. This man whose child I was carrying. This man who thought so little of me that he'd do this here, now, in the cruelest way possible. And something inside me went perfectly, completely calm. I stood up. It took effort, being 7 months pregnant, but I stood. I smoothed down my dress. I took a deep breath. "Okay," I said. William blinked. That wasn't the reaction he expected. "Okay," he repeated. "I'll sign your papers, William. Right here, right now, in front of everyone." I reached for the pen Gregory was holding. "But first, let me tell everyone what you're really giving up." The garden went silent again, but this was a different kind of silence, anticipatory. "You all know me as Gabrielle Harrison, interior designer, society wife." I looked around at the faces watching me. "What you don't know is that last month, my business, Thompson Designs, secured a $50 million contract to design the interiors for 3 major hotel chains across the country. The deal closes next week." I watched William's face change, watched realization start to dawn. I kept it quiet because I wanted to surprise my husband. Surprise. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm not just some woman he picked up at a charity event. I built something real, something that's about to make me very, very successful in my own right. Gregory the lawyer was looking at William now. There was panic in his eyes. Second thing, I continued, that prenuptial agreement you made me sign, William? The one your fancy lawyers drew up to protect your family's money? I had my own lawyer review every single word. You remember Jennifer Lewis, the attorney I told you was helping me with business contracts? William's face went pale. She found something interesting, a clause on page 17 that says, if either party commits adultery, the prenup is void, completely void, which means I'm entitled to 50% of everything we acquired during our marriage. Plus, according to New York state law, I get full custody of our daughter since you can't prove I'm an unfit mother. I pulled out my phone, opened Instagram, projected it onto the screen we'd set up to show baby photos. Third thing, your girlfriend Vanessa Cole, age 24, fitness influencer? Her Instagram popped up on the big screen. Recent photos of her in our Aspen vacation house. Dates matching William's supposed business trips. She's been very public about your relationship. Very public. Look, here she is in Aspen 3 months ago, and here. That's marital property, William. That's evidence. I scrolled to a post from 2 weeks ago. Vanessa in a bikini, belly showing, caption reading, landed me a billionaire and a baby. Living my best life. The garden was dead silent except for a few gasps. So here's what's actually going to happen, I said, taking the pen from Gregory's frozen hand. I'm going to sign these divorce papers, and then I'm going to see you in court where we'll discuss the real settlement, the one where I get what I'm actually entitled to. I signed the papers. My hand didn't shake once. Gregory, I said, handing them back. Tell your client he should have read his own prenup. Tell him he should have been smarter. Tell him he should have waited until after the baby was born if he wanted to play these games. I turned to William. His mouth was opening and closing, but no sound was coming out. See you in court, husband. Then Catherine, William's own mother, stood up. This elegant woman who'd always intimidated me a little. She looked at her son with pure disgust. You fool, she said. Her voice cut through the silence like a knife. You absolute fool. Crystal started clapping. Slow at first, then faster. Renee joined her, then my mama, then more women. Within seconds, the entire garden was applauding while William stood there, divorce papers in hand, looking like his world was crumbling. Because it was. The next 3 months were brutal. William tried everything. He claimed I'd cheated first. No evidence. He tried to argue my business success was only because of his name. My financial records going back 7 years proved otherwise. He hired private investigators who found nothing on me but everything on him. 5 other women he'd been involved with over the past 2 years. Vanessa wasn't special. She was just the one who got pregnant. I gave birth to my daughter 6 weeks after that baby shower. Hope Renee Thompson. I gave her my last name. William wasn't in the delivery room. He sent flowers. I sent them back. The court case took 3 months. William's legal team tried everything, but the prenup clause was ironclad. His infidelity was documented. His pattern of behavior was clear. The judge was a black woman in her 60s who did not appreciate how he'd conducted himself. Final settlement. I received 60% of marital assets, the main house, the vacation properties, full custody of Hope, $150,000 a month in child support, supervised visitation rights for William only. The total value? $2.3 billion. His board of directors forced him to step down from the company. The scandal was too much. His reputation was destroyed. Catherine testified on my behalf in court, telling the judge her son had dishonored the family name and didn't deserve protection. Vanessa left him 2 months after the settlement. Turns out she wasn't interested in a disgraced ex-billionaire with limited assets. She has full custody of their son. William barely sees him. Meanwhile, my business exploded. The publicity from the case made me famous. Forbes did a feature, "The Interior Designer Who Redesigned Her Life." Companies wanted to work with me. I expanded internationally. Thompson Designs is now worth $200 million and growing. I started a foundation for women leaving difficult marriages. Crystal runs it. We help with legal fees, housing, job training, everything I wish I'd known I could access when I thought I was trapped. A year after that baby shower, I threw Hope a first birthday party. Same garden pavilion, same pink decorations. But this time, it was pure joy. No shadows, no secrets. Just me, my daughter, my family, and friends who genuinely loved us. William showed up for his court-ordered visit. He looked tired, older, broken. He held Hope awkwardly, like he didn't know what to do with her. When he left, he asked if we could talk. We stood in that same garden where he'd handed me divorce papers. "I'm sorry," he said, "for all of it. I was stupid, arrogant. I thought I could have everything. I looked at this man who used to be my everything, who I'd loved so much I ignored every warning sign, who I'd defended to friends and family, who I'd built a life with." "That moment at the baby shower?" I said. "Best thing you ever did for me." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "Did you ever really love me?" he asked. I thought about it, really thought about it. "I loved who I thought you were," I told him. "Now I love who I actually am." And that's so much better. I watched him walk away, this man who thought he could humiliate me into submission, who thought I'd take his scraps and be grateful, who underestimated me so completely it cost him everything. So that's my story. The day I thought my life was ending? It was actually the day it truly began. I learned that my worth was never tied to his name, his money, or his validation. It was always mine. If this story resonated with you, don't just scroll past, smash that like button. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done in that moment? And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we're stronger than we think. Subscribe to this channel because I share real stories about real people who refuse to stay down when life knocked them over. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Remember, they might serve you papers, but you get to write your own ending. I'm Gabrielle Thompson, and this is my truth. Thank you for listening. See you in court, husband. Then Catherine, William's own mother, stood up. This elegant woman who'd always intimidated me a little. She looked at her son with pure disgust. "You fool," she said, her voice cut through the silence like a knife. "You absolute fool." Crystal started clapping, slow at first, then faster. Renee joined her, then my mama, then more women. Within seconds, the entire garden was applauding while William stood there, divorce papers in hand, looking like his world was crumbling. Because it was. The next 3 months were brutal. William tried everything. He claimed I'd cheated first. No evidence. He tried to argue my business success was only because of his name. My financial records going back 7 years proved otherwise. He hired private investigators who found nothing on me but everything on him. 5 other women he'd been involved with over the past 2 years. Vanessa wasn't special. She was just the one who got pregnant. I gave birth to my daughter 6 weeks after that baby shower. Hope Renee Thompson. I gave her my last name. William wasn't in the delivery room. He sent flowers. I sent them back. The court case took 3 months. William's legal team tried everything, but the prenup clause was ironclad. His infidelity was documented. His pattern of behavior was clear. The judge was a black woman in her 60s who did not appreciate how he'd conducted himself. Final settlement, I received 60% of marital assets, the main house, the vacation properties, full custody of Hope, $150,000 a month in child support, supervised visitation rights for William only. The total value? $2.3 billion. His board of directors forced him to step down from the company. The scandal was too much. His reputation was destroyed. Catherine testified on my behalf in court, telling the judge her son had dishonored the family name and didn't deserve protection. Vanessa left him 2 months after the settlement. Turns out she wasn't interested in a disgraced ex-billionaire with limited assets. She has full custody of their son. William barely sees him. Meanwhile, my business exploded. The publicity from the case made me famous. Forbes did a feature, "The Interior Designer Who Redesigned Her Life." Companies wanted to work with me. I expanded internationally. Thompson Designs is now worth $200 million and growing.